This weekend marks 8 years since 17 people, 14 students and 3 adults were gunned down at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. It has been remarkable seeing the survivors and their families turn grief into action. Lori Alhadeff lost her daughter Alyssa, and in the wake of the tragedy, she ran for and was elected to the Broward School Board. She is the driving force behind Alyssa's Law, which 10 states have passed, requiring silent alarms in classrooms that teachers can activate during medical emergencies or other kinds of threats. And Max Schachter, whose son Alex was killed, has created a school safety dashboard in which parents can learn about incidents at their local schools. Now, last week I spoke to both parents.
So every time it comes to February 14th, it's going to be 8 years since we lost our daughter Alyssa in this horrific tragedy. But we turned our pain into grief, into action. We started Make Our Schools Safe. I've been on the school board the last 7 years here in Broward County Public Schools, making change. And so it's difficult. It's difficult work, but I know that it's so needed. I want to make sure, and Max, we want to make sure that this never happens to anybody else. And we have passed Alyssa's Law at 10 states, which is panic buttons in schools directly linked to law enforcement so they can get there faster. Time equals life. And then with Alyssa's Act at the federal level, we will create standards around panic buttons and digital mapping and having a data center, because we want to try to reduce violence and prevent the next school shooting. And unfortunately, we know that school shootings are continuing to happen. So this work is so vitally important and paramount to get Alyssa's Act signed into law by President Trump as soon as possible.
And Max, I know that you've dedicated so much time and energy and effort into the school safety dashboard. Talk a little bit about that. And I know that you're going another relaunch of it. Talk to me about what you've been able to accomplish in these last few years and why that's been so important.
Well, Jim, after the shooting that killed Alex and Alyssa, Governor Rick Scott at the time formed the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Commission, and I was appointed to be on that commission. And throughout our investigation, we found that schools were reporting, specifically Marjory Stoneman Douglas was shoving everything under the rug. And so they were reporting zeros across the board. And then when I went to go look at my other 3 kids' schools, all the data was in a massive Excel spreadsheet, which just made it impossible for me to evaluate, compare, and understand. So Safe Schools for Alex, the charity that my wife and I started after the tragedy, we created the first of its kind school safety dashboard, because when I sent Alex to school, and I'm sure Lori as well, we had no idea that our children were going to school with a violent individual, an individual that had accumulated over 70 disciplinary referrals, and law enforcement was at his house over 40 times. And so parents have a right to know what's happening in their school. So we created this user-friendly dashboard for parents to use and to empower them with the knowledge so that they can become advocates and they can make sure that the schools are doing everything they can to reduce violence on campus, and so this never happens again. So our school safety dashboard is now nationwide. We're going to be relaunching a revamped version. And the mobile is going to be a lot more user-friendly. At our fundraiser, our annual fundraiser is March 26th. It's a pickleball fundraiser. And so we're very excited about that. But this dashboard is nationwide, so parents from all over the country can go online, look up their school. They can compare schools against each other. They can compare districts against each other. And we hope that by using this data, driving accountability, we'll be able to empower parents and schools with the knowledge they need to make sure that this never happens again.
As this date comes up, Lori, I'm curious how you view it, and in just how you want to express. Either is it a time that you just become very quiet when it arrives on Saturday? Do you do events? You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to see how has that changed over the years? I would imagine in the first couple of years it may have been very different than the way it is now. Lori?
So it's definitely a more emotional day and painful day. We go to visit Alyssa at the cemetery with my family and friends, and we're just there to love and support each other. We go to Eagles Haven. It's a resiliency center that was started after the tragedy to support the families and the community. And, as a mother, this is not how it should be. Alyssa, Alex should still be here, right? They should be graduating from college. And so it is definitely very painful. I can't even believe it's 8 years since the tragedy happened. But again, I just also try to stay focused and know that I have a mission to make our school safe.
Max, how will you be marking Saturday?
I'll be with my family and doing things that Alex would love, thinking about Alex, recounting all of the beautiful times that we had with him, and just spending time together as a family. That's the most important thing. That's my priority right now. And then I'll get back to work and do everything I can to try to make sure it never happens to another family.
I know that the families have settled lawsuits regarding the FBI, the Broward School District. The only lawsuit that's left outstanding that is from the Broward Sheriff's Department, is with the Broward Sheriff's Department, that they continue to appeal, they continue to fight. How important is it for you, Lori? I know it's not a financial issue as much as it is just wanting the recognition and the closure for it. How important is it for you that this case get resolved? Here we are 8 years later. And why do you think it hasn't been resolved yet?
So it's so important that we go to trial with BSO. This has been going on for 8 years, and part of our healing process is just getting to have BSO go to trial and let's play it out there. And whatever happens, happens. But we need to just get it done and go to trial and hold BSO accountable for their failures.
So, just to be clear, in your mind, and I realize you only represent yourself in this, in your mind, you don't want a settlement. You actually want to see a court hearing, a trial, and let all of the facts come out as a result. That's what you would prefer, even if it results in you only getting a response of $1 or $10 or whatever it is.
No,
You
this
want
is,
to actually
yeah,
see it go to court.
right. This isn't about the money. This is about holding BSO accountable for the failures of the death of the 17. Alyssa should still be here today, and she's not because BSO did not go in, engage, and take down the threat.
Max, what do you want to see happen with regard to this suit with Broward Sheriffs?
Well, it's so painful that this is still going on. I remember years ago that Sheriff Greg Tony told one of the other fathers, Manuel Oliver, that they were guilty and that they had blood on their hands and they were going to do everything they can to bring this to a conclusion. And now it's been years later, they continue to file frivolous motions and just delay, delay, delay. It's unbelievable. There were so many failures that day, and now they're refusing to take accountability. They built a memorial in their training center, put our loved ones' names on it, and they're basically refusing to accept responsibility and refusing to accept culpability when their officer, their deputy waited outside for 48 minutes. And it wasn't just him. All the other 8 deputies waited outside as well. They never went in for 11 minutes. They didn't go to the third floor for 40 minutes while people were bleeding and dying, and for them not to accept responsibility and just continue to file frivolous motions and delay tactics. It's just disingenuous and it's just hypocritical. But I also want to make sure it's clear that the Broward County Commission are the ones that pay the bills and control the funding of the Broward Sheriff's Office. So it is not solely the Broward Sheriff's Office that I am upset about and holding accountable. It is the Broward County Commission that needs to do their job. They have a responsibility And we are continuing to fight this because we don't want this to ever happen again to another family. And if the county and the sheriff's office continue to get away with this and we don't put any pressure on them, this is just going to happen again. So we want to make sure that the change is made and this never happens to other families. That's why we're continuing to pursue this and going public with how upset and painful this has been.
But just to be clear, you're also not interested, and I don't want to speak for you, but it sounds like you're not interested in an admission of guilt on their part and a settlement. You want to see this go to trial and actually have all the facts come out in a public forum like a trial?
Jim, they are refusing to accept accountability. They're refusing to admit guilt here. So absolutely, we want all the facts to come out so that this never happens again.